It was a rainy Tuesday morning when Daniel pushed open the heavy glass door of Maggie's Diner, a small place tucked between an old bookstore and a flower shop. He'd been bringing his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, here every weekend for pancakes since his wife passed away 2 years ago. It had become their quiet tradition, a place where the smell of maple syrup and coffee wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Daniel noticed her the first time he came in, the young waitress who always served their table. She moved quickly, quietly, efficiently. Her hair was always tied back in a messy bun, her uniform crisp but faded. She never made small talk, never lingered at the table. But most of all, she never smiled. Not once. Not even when Lily told her silly knock-knock jokes or when Daniel tried to lighten the mood with a harmless comment. She simply nodded, wrote down the order, and walked away. At first, Daniel thought she was just tired, maybe overworked. But weeks turned into months, and every Saturday morning, she was the same, polite, distant, and unsmiling. It began to bother him. He was a single dad raising a little girl who had already seen enough sadness for a lifetime. He wanted their breakfasts to be bright and cheerful, not shadowed by whatever storm the waitress was carrying. One morning, Lily whispered, "Daddy, why doesn't she ever smile?" Her voice was small, full of genuine concern. Daniel didn't know how to answer. That question stayed in his mind for days. The following weekend, the diner was quiet. Rain tapped against the windows, and the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. The waitress brought their food, and Daniel, gathering his courage, gently asked, "Hey, I hope you don't mind me asking, but I've been wondering, why don't you ever smile?" She froze, her hands trembling slightly as she placed the plate down. For a long moment, she didn't look at him. Then she slowly pulled out the chair across from him and sat down. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. "Because, the last time I smiled, my little boy was still alive." The words hit Daniel like a punch to the chest. The clinking of forks and the hum of the diner seemed to fade. She went on, her eyes fixed on the table. He was 3. Bright blue eyes, the kind that looked like they held the whole sky. "We were in the park, and he was chasing a red balloon. I was laughing so hard, smiling so much, and then," her voice cracked. "A drunk driver didn't see him. I didn't even get to say goodbye." Daniel felt his throat tighten. Lily's little hand slipped into his under the table. The waitress wiped her eyes quickly and stood, as if embarrassed to have said so much. Over the next weeks, Daniel noticed subtle changes. Sometimes, when Lily told a joke, the waitress's lips would twitch just slightly, like her heart was trying to remember how to feel. Daniel and Lily began leaving little notes on napkins for her, simple things like, "Hope your day is better than yesterday," or, "You make the best pancakes in town." One Saturday, months later, Lily handed her a small drawing. It was a picture of the waitress, smiling, with the words, "You look beautiful when you smile." The waitress stared at it for a long time. Then, for the first time since Daniel had met her, she smiled, not a full, carefree grin, but a fragile, trembling curve of the lips. That moment became a quiet turning point. She began chatting with them a little, asking Lily about school, laughing softly at Daniel's clumsy dad jokes. Her grief hadn't vanished. Grief never truly does, but she was allowing light to seep through the cracks. One rainy morning nearly a year later, Daniel and Lily walked into the diner, and there she was, smiling warmly as they came in. Not because someone told her to, but because she wanted to. Daniel realized then that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness, a question, a note, a child's drawing, can pull someone back from the shadows. You never know the battles a person is fighting, but you can always offer them something worth holding onto. Because healing doesn't happen all at once. It starts in moments, and sometimes, it starts with a smile.